Welcome to my channel, everybody. This is Tech Jadis, and this is my Subnautica survival guide on how to become purely self-sustaining in just a few in-game days. I'm sure that many of you are aware that the world of Subnautica can be very beautiful, but also very deadly and unfair. If you're the type of player who has trouble with starvation and dehydration in this game, this guide might be just what you need. Nearly everything in Subnautica can be dangerous and deadly, so the last thing we need to worry about is where our next meal is coming from. So this is going to alleviate that as soon as possible. The first step is to go on a hunt for what is called creepvine. Creepvine is a lot like kelp, attaching to the seabed and reaching up towards the surface. Creepvine groves are usually guarded by stalkers, so we'll have to be quick. What we want to do is to grab as many creepvine seed clusters as humanly possible before being identified by the stalkers. Before heading back, it's a good idea to snag a bladderfish, so we can make a filtered water when we return. Pick up at least one piece of wreckage, and keep your eyes open for any quartz that you find while you're out. And don't forget to snag a non-bladderfish snack if you can. At this point, head back to make use of the resources that we have gathered so far. Turn 2 of the quartz that you have gathered into a glass. Then proceed to turn all of the seed clusters that you have gathered into silicone rubber. And convert your salvage into titanium. And don't forget to cook any of the fish that you had caught while you were out, in order to keep starvation at bay. Be careful not to cook the bladderfish. Turn the bladderfish into filtered water. Thanks to all the rubber that we've created, we can make a few items that we desperately need, like the O2 tank, and fins to increase our swimming speed, and also we need to make a knife. And even though we're in a rush, that doesn't mean we can't take in the beautiful sights of Subnautica. So take some time and sit back and enjoy the fireworks. Alright, Slacker, enough goofing around. We still need materials. We need plenty more quartz. We also need copper ore and 1 silver ore. You can find copper and silver in these little containers that you can find on coral and in other places along the seabed. I know Subnautica can get particularly spooky at night, but after dark, take this time to pinpoint acid mushrooms as they glow pink and purple, and you need them to make batteries, about 2 per battery. I, for one, find the shallows particularly beautiful at night. When you've collected enough copper ore and acid mushrooms, it's time to start assembling batteries. And finally, one of the most useful items in the entire game, the scanner. Even though we have fins, we are not fast enough to accomplish our goal. We need the Sea Glide. In order to unlock its blueprint, we need to scan 2 Sea Glides down here in wreckage that you can find around the seabed. They usually aren't very hard to find, and I found 2 pretty quickly. What can be a little harder to find is the silver ore that we desperately need. I have found some in an underwater cave, along with some gold. In caves, be conscious of where your nearest exit is. Dying because you're trapped in an underwater cave is my least favorite way to die. Also, don't forget to pick up coral. Need about 2 coral to make a microchip. At this point, we can take a break, head back and make use of our resources. We need to make the microchip in order to make the second most important item that we need. The microchip is needed to create the habitat builder. Now let's get that sea glide created. You may need to pick up more creepvine seed clusters, for it is used in a very important ingredient to make a sea glide. The seed clusters are not only great for making rubber, but they're also used for making lubricant. Take 2 copper ore and make a copper wire, and you should have the essentials in order to create your sea glide. Now that we have the sea glide, we can achieve our primary goal. What we need to do now is target the floating island. You can see it by its indicator of some strange clouds in the distance. Once you have a heading, be prepared for a very long trip. And cross your fingers that no Reaper Leviathans spot you on the way. Once you get close enough, you should be able to see the island poking out behind the clouds. Even if it gets dark, remember, your sea glide can double as a makeshift flashlight. Make use of the night, head left and follow the coast of the island clockwise. Eventually, you will come across a small vegetable farm that has been planted long before you got here. All you have to do is spot the grow beds to know that you have found it. Immediately scan the grow beds so you can build them later using the habitat builder. Out of these grow beds we are after 2 things, the Chinese potato and the marble melon. It is vital that when you leave the island you have at least 1 potato and 1 melon in your inventory. As you can see here, the marble melon is great for calorie intake and hydration. And after snacking, don't forget to have at least 1 of each of these things in your inventory before you leave. The next thing you're going to want to find is the bulbo tree. It's a native to the island, and its sap is extremely good at curing thirst. You will need to use a knife in order to cut a sample off to take with you. And like the melon and the potato, make sure that you cut an extra piece for yourself to take with you. The island has 2 tall peaks, and we must ascend to the top of both of them. Just channel the Mako from Mass Effect, or any horse from Skyrim, and you'll make it in no time. You'll come across an old livable habitat at the top of each peak. Take this time to scan everything that you can. Here, it will usually take 1 scan per object in order to make it buildable using your habitat builder. You can also find an almost random assortment of other things to scan as well. And don't forget to pick up the PDAs laying around in order to get important pieces of the story. Scanning the grow bed in this forward compartment is vital to our goal. Be sure to get it. The tree in that grow bed is also extremely important. It is called the lantern tree. Its fruit is not very good for eating. It's barely usable for sustenance. However, putting the fruit of this tree into a bioreactor is a great way to get energy later in the game. Don't forget to grab a piece of lantern fruit before you leave. As you make your way to the other peak, you will find that between the two peaks is another small habitat. Traverse down the mountain and make it to that habitat before going to the other peak. And make sure to get your knife ready. It will be dangerous down there. These are cave crawlers. They are a nuisance, but they're nothing a few swipes with a knife can't handle. There's still plenty more to scan here, so have your scanner prepared. Be sure to scan the purple artifact before picking it up. That way you can forge them later. And also, don't forget to pick up any PDAs laying around. Scan everything that you can find, and make sure that the room that we are standing in is fully scanned. It is called the multi-purpose room. It is very important later in the game. With that done, it's time to check out the last peak to see if there's anything up there that we can get or scan. Scanning the pots in this room is important if you would like to make more variable gardens when you get back to your base. Be thorough that everything has been scanned. When you're sure that it's done, it's time to head home. When traversing down the peak, try to head in the direction of the beacon that indicates the location of your escape pod. Then just jump in and prepare yourself for another long trip back home. And cross your fingers that no Reaper Leviathans sniff you out. Once home, it's time to put the habitat builder to use. It's time to create the multi-purpose room. Be aware that you will need glass in order to build a hatch in order to enter the room. So always be on the lookout for more quartz to make glass. Quartz is also very important to make solar panels. Now that we have a solar-powered room, we need to start our garden. We need to build an indoor grow bed. Put the lantern fruit, the bulbo tree sample, the Chinese potato, and the melon into the garden. This next step is vitally important to producing more marble melons. If you only have one marble melon and you eat it, then it will be gone forever. So, in order to produce more marble melons, when you're down to one, make sure that you take it, plant it, and then when it's planted, take a knife and attack it. When you attack it, you will get 4 marble melon seeds. Plant all 4 seeds, and rinse and repeat. You will have marble melons forever. And there you have it. Now you have a self-sustaining garden that will ensure that you will never have to worry about thirst or hunger ever again. The combination of the bulbo tree, which cures thirst, the Chinese potato, which is good at curing hunger, and the marble melon, which is good at both, plus the lantern tree, which will give you fruit for power later in the game. This will give you a leg up on survival and allow you to take the game at your own pace. Thank you very much for watching my survival guide for Subnautica. If you enjoyed this content and found it informative, then like and subscribe and I'll put more content out as soon as possible. Thank you very much.